TellyCast.
Hi, I'm Justin Crosby, and welcome to another TellyCast. What are the secrets of making a social clip go viral? How do you build an audience of over 8 million followers? And what does a next generation digital first production business look like? My guest this week is Brandon B., one of the leading creators at the forefront of the new wave of social video entertainment. It's coming right up on this week's TellyCast. My guest this week is viral video superstar Brandon B. Welcome to the show, Brandon.
Awesome. What an intro. I love it. Thank you, Justin. It's great to be here. I said just before we got started, I'm excited just to sit down, relax, and just chat about the industry, all things that we love.
Well, thank you for inviting me up to your lair, your studio base up in North London, which is really exciting to be here. And just to paint the picture for everybody, 5,000 square feet studio here. I'm kind of looking up above me just to make sure there's no buckets of green gunk aren't going to fall on my head. But there's a lovely smell of paint and freshly painted sets. And it's a really fantastic modern studio environment. So congratulations on kind of building this up. I'm really keen to talk about your career right from day one, because now you're relatively young for a content creator that we've had on the show. How old are you, Brandon?
I'm 23, still a baby.
23. Okay. Well, let's talk about how you developed your career, because it's been an enormous success and you've built up a fan base of over 8 million followers across social platforms, and you're working with some of the world's biggest brands. So let's come and talk about that in a second. Let's start right at the beginning. Where and when and how did you pick up your first camera and get to start to understand how things work and be inspired by what you were capturing on camera?
So the interesting thing about my story and how I hear it differs from most other filmmakers is it wasn't actually a film that inspired me to get into this world and be fascinated with the ideas of creating these incredible narrative stories and entertaining audiences. My initial spark came from an iPod app. I borrowed my brother's iPod, and there was an app on there that allowed you to create these visual effect videos without any editing from your heart. But I was so fascinated by it that it made me dive into this rabbit hole. And pretty much as soon as I entered, I've never been able to stop.
And how old were you then?
Yeah, I was just 12 years old at the time.
Right.
And it was the coolest thing in the world to me. I felt like I had discovered something brand new, like a brand new element. I couldn't believe what I had my hands on. And I became obsessed ever since that point.
You're a digital native. You've grown up with apps and the ability to shoot using your own phone. And we're sat in the studio here with lots of very expensive professional equipment that you've obviously built up over the years. Tell us about, once you were messing about with iPhones and the apps and everything, what did that progress to? I mean, did you take any formal training or any qualifications, or was it just work experience, or how did things develop from there?
So as soon as I got that hook and that obsession from 12, I started using YouTube essentially as my film school. And I got very lucky when I started using YouTube as an educational resource. It was just as good educators started joining the platform. So I had loads of incredible places that I could go to. At the very top of that would be a guy called Ryan Connolly, who ran a channel called Film Riot, where I got to learn how to be a filmmaker off the back of him just coming out of film school, making his own short films. So I got the whole film school experience just from online work. And then when I was about 14 and I actually got the opportunity to start going to a film school around the GCSE mark, I started sitting in these classrooms, learning everything from film school from day one again. And what I kind of found is I'd been sitting on YouTube watching videos about how to do this for the past 2 years. And I was having to relearn it all again from scratch from the beginning, even though I'd already learned it from home. So I very quickly discovered school wasn't for me. I didn't want to sit through it all again. So I started applying for work experience at pretty much any production company I could until I landed my very first role, which was at a company called Sassy Films, who are based in the TV advertising world.
So you came in through the commercial and brand-funded route, essentially.
Yeah.
They're a business based in North London. What was it that you did for them then? What was your first role? Was it just literally work experience and doing runner work, or was it a bit more involved in that?
Yeah, so I I just showed up pretty much at any excuse I could. I would keep showing up to do more and more work experience with them because I was obsessed with working with them. The idea of creating content and making these short films, but for a client, and there was actually money involved, and being in these humongous collaborative process where there were 30 different people on these sets, and you got to brainstorm all these ideas with like a company of 40 different people. It was honestly just like a dream come true. So I kept running back at any opportunity I could. And eventually when there was a job available there as a runner, I just sort of like ran in as fast as I could and said, pick me. And thankfully, my boss at the time took me on, which I was really grateful for.
And so that led to you becoming hands-on with cameras, presumably. You were a camera operator, is that right?
Yeah, so I went down the runner to tech assist to cam assist, then to camera operator within the company. And it was incredible. I got to shoot the most unbelievable ads, working for really cool clients like Jaguar Land Rover and getting flown all around the world, shooting these awesome TVCs with like A-list celebrities, whilst I was like 19 at the time, which was just like, it was like so unbelievably surreal, but it gave me just the most unbelievable insight of how content is created professionally at scale.
It wasn't just about the shooting. You obviously got an idea of how editing works, grading works, and all the other post-production aspects. Is that something that you took to as well? Because obviously your skill set now crosses all of those areas, and you've got a whole team here that oversee all of that, and we'll talk about them in a second. Was it the overall sort of cross-production experience that excited you, or was it always about the visual aspects of it that you were most keen on?
I think it was the collaborative nature for me. Everything I'd done up until that point was a very solo project. I'm quite an extroverted, talkative person. Like I love what we're doing right now. I love interaction. I love collaboration. And I always found it annoying that I was creating these awesome short films, but at the end of the day, I was the only one that cared about it. I'd like rope in my friends to act in them and stuff. They didn't care. They were just sort of helping me out and doing a favor. So getting to work within a company where there were other people who were genuinely passionate about the content they were creating, and we would strive to make content that was better and better day in, day out, that was what kept me alive.
And so that was about 4 years ago. Mm-hmm. And then you moved on to work with two YouTube superstars, Woody and Kleiny, didn't you? Tell us about Woody and Kleiny and what they've become famous for, because listeners, if you haven't heard of them, your kids will have.
Yeah, so whilst I was at Sassy, these two content creators came to the studio one day. And when they came in, like I was absolutely flabbergasted. Because at the time, Woody and Kleiny had 50,000 followers. And I couldn't believe that I'd met two people who had successfully built up an audience online. So I started speaking to them. I was like, guys, I will shoot all of your content completely for free. I'll take any opportunity to start learning about the social space. Even though I had like this really cool and fun job in TV, in my eyes, the social space, you couldn't even compare the two. The social space far outweighed what I was doing in TV. Personally, at the time, and even now, I'm not consuming content in TV. None of my friends were consuming content in TV. Even my family were consuming less TV content year by year. And I thought, I'm very junior in my career, and I'm about to start a very long career in a space. I'd rather start that in an industry that I see more longevity in, but more importantly, a career path that I'm super passionate about. And obviously, because I had that time from the age of 12 of watching YouTube videos, obsessing over YouTube creators, and loving what they do more and more, when the opportunity arose to work with YouTube creators, I jumped at it with everything I had. So eventually, I started working part-time at Sassy so I could work part-time with Woody and Kleiny, and then eventually completely left my job in TV to work in the social space. And what I find interesting is now I tell people that, and they go, yeah, that makes sense. That's an obvious jump. But back then, the YouTube scene was still seen to be like a very unwanted sector to be in. Like you were seen as a bit of a loser uploading YouTube videos unless you had the Lamborghinis or the private jets. Like everyone who wasn't of that top 0.1% was a loser if they were trying on YouTube.
Right.
So I left this like awesome fun job getting flown around the world, meeting A-listers, to work in this social space that no one else respected, not my family, not my friends, but I believed in it so much that I was committed to jump into it.
I can imagine your mum going, what, you're leaving this fantastic job to work with two YouTubers? What are you doing?
But I had the exact same conversation with her before I left school early to then start working at Sassy. Eventually, it's a bit of a spoiler, when I eventually left Woody and Kleiny to do what I'm doing now, had the exact same conversation where she said, you've got this incredible opportunity with Woody and Kleiny. It's always for me been just like, what is the next step in the process? And, you know, I learned so much from those boys. They are like absolute geniuses. The way they craft the content that they make is honestly like listening to a lecturer in a university talk about a specific subject. It's a real social science, and I was really fortunate to get to learn so much from working alongside them. Until eventually, after I'd worked with them for about 4 or 5 years, eventually my time was up and I decided to start creating my own content. The reason I actually started in the first place was because of COVID. On that first lockdown, we couldn't carry on creating content together. Instead of like trying to make Zoom videos or like standing 3 meters apart, because it just doesn't have the same feel, we said, let's take a little break. We'll come back after the lockdown. We thought it was going to be 3 weeks away. And
yeah, so did we all.
The boys said to me, look, you know, Brandon, chill, you know, we'll come back to it in 3 weeks' time, it'll be fine. And I thought, you know what, like, I don't have the ability in me to chill and do nothing. Like, I've got to do something. So I thought, you know what, a bit of fun. This new app called TikTok's starting to get a little bit of traction. Let me make a pact with myself to upload a brand new video every single day until lockdown was over. That 3 week period I kept to, except 3 weeks turned into 3 months. And by the end of the 3 months, I'd kept to that pact and left lockdown with over 1 million followers.
Wow. For you, the social content creation was always an ambition. And so you then gained the skills needed and you'd gained the experience through working with Woody and Kleiny. For those who haven't seen any of your videos, I'm sure there won't be many, but for those who haven't, can you just describe what's different about a Brandon B, TikTok, or any of the content on any of the platforms that you create?
Yeah, so we create visual madness. I think is the best way I can describe it. The catchphrase that I love to use is Potter-esque. So we create these awesome visual effects illusion videos where we're essentially trying to bring a touch of Hollywood into the world of social media. We create these awesome big scale visual effect videos that a lot of the time involve creating these awesome practical sets and practical props where we create these just awesome, you know, reality bending effects day in, day out, which I believe just provides like a new light in the social space that we don't currently see. You know, there's so much of the same on social media of loads of people jumping on trends and creating a lot of the same content. The really magical thing for me about this visual effects stuff was it was new. There wasn't that much of it on the platform at the time. When I joined TikTok and started making those videos, I believe there was only maybe 2 other VFX creators there at the time. So it was awesome to be a part of watching that sort of the market build and grow and be a part of that from the very start.
But that's what really fascinates me about what you do, because you've described your background, you've described what the experience you had. But actually what you produce is just the VFX aspect of that is incredibly creative and so different to what everything else that you see, or a lot of videos that you see on social. What was it about the VFX aspect that really took you in that direction?
I think it reignited that spark I had when I was a 12-year-old boy sitting at home on the iPod, obsessed over this app I absolutely adored. And I think when I started to make that VFX content again, it reignited that spark, and you know, I felt alive again creating this content. During that lockdown period, I was working 7 days a week, probably like 15, 16-hour days on my own. I'd wake up in the morning, brainstorm, first thing, trying to come up with that next idea. Then like sort of midday-ish, I'd quickly try and gather any props that I could, run to the shops if I was able to. And then after that, I'd be shooting it, editing it the same night, uploading it, going to bed, and doing the exact same thing the next day for 3 months straight. So it was definitely, I felt that fire in my belly reignite, and it drove me to this VFX content. Did I do it 100% just because no one else was really doing it at the time? Probably not. I think it was purely that passion had come alive again, and it just felt so fun to do.
And this was just you on your own at this point. Just you in your bedroom, essentially, pumping out one video every day during lockdown, and you come out and, you know, like from the chrysalis into the butterfly, you have 100 or 1 million followers, should I say, on TikTok out of COVID. It's incredible.
Yeah, and then from that point onwards, the growth was really organic. Everything very naturally happened. Everything was here's my current problem, this is the solution, and I actioned it straight away. So the initial issue was, okay, I want to make bigger visual effect videos, except if I spend more time editing videos, then I won't have time to shoot more content. So I thought, okay, the obvious next step is to bring on an extra visual effects artist to help me do the bigger videos. So he could edit some, I can edit some of them, and then we're getting the best of both worlds. Next issue after that is I need to be in the video, so I need a camera operator to hold the camera. Great, solution, bring on a camera operator. And step by step, the team very naturally grew out until eventually I went, great, well, I've got all these people that I work with, but nowhere for us to work together on. So I made the massive investment at the time, which again, I had the same conversation with my mum going, don't do it, it's way too expensive. And I went, yeah, but this is what I'm projecting for the year. And she goes, what do you mean projecting? Well, like, that's not enough to go off. And thankfully, I did just see where this was going. I saw how explosive the social space was about to be. And everything that I was hoping would happen in the space did happen. And this beautiful journey has sort of grown from there.
And so a lot of the producers will be listening to this will be thinking, well, where was his revenue coming from, right? To hire that first person and the second and the third, and then take on the studio space and all the rest of the stuff. I mean, and I know that you're doing work for commercial brands as well as yourself. So was it mainly the commercial work that would actually subsidize the cost of you creating your own channel as well?
Yeah, so the main financial income for the company has come from branded partnerships. We team up with brands and we say, we can bring these awesome visual effect videos that we create on our page and create them for you using your brand to help promote or sell your product. And I think what's really helped me throughout this process is, with my background of working in TV, something that was incredible to learn within the TVC space was how incredibly well the system is optimized for creating and delivering a branded piece of content. And I got to learn how that process actually ran. And now today I operate that same process with all the branded stuff we do. Now in the social space, that's fairly foreign. Most of the sort of social foundations at the moment in the industry are a lot rougher, a little bit more all hands on deck. But I thought, why not construct my social media production company the same way the TV production company I used to work in was, because it was so well optimized. So everything for the majority at the very start was through branded partnerships. But sort of as the company's grown, we've taken those services that we used to offer for the brand and B pages. Now we offer it just as a production company. We'll say to brands, hey, these are the awesome videos we shoot. These are the incredible views we get, hitting billions of views every quarter. Why not make the same videos for you on your feed that has nothing to do with brand and B, nothing to do with the brand and B creator, but uses the social science, uses the social formulas that we know and we know how to create to deliver those same results on your channels.
You said earlier on, you used a term about science, and you're touching on it now a little bit, I think, in terms of the science of social and the science of going viral. So what is the secret to going viral? Is it an art, or is it a science, or is it?
It's definitely a science. I feel like I could write a book on the key things we do day in, day out to make content go viral. I'll give you like the main top number one thing for people to go back with and be hyper focused on when they create content. And that is focusing on the first frame. Creating the most incredible first frame of a social asset is one of the most important things for a piece of content's virality. The little story I like to tell people that goes along with it is when we started creating content about 4 years ago with Woody and Kleiny on YouTube, we always used to say, we've got to make sure the very first 20 seconds of the video is incredible. It's got to really entice people and hook them in to make sure they watch the rest of the video. Then as YouTube started getting more saturated, that 20-second window turned into a 10-second window, which turned into a 5-second window. Which
was basically the platform was getting bigger, there's more and more videos being uploaded, so you had to be better and more immediate than anybody else to grab attention.
Exactly. What you've got on YouTube, which you don't really see in more traditional platforms, is at any moment when someone is watching your piece of content, they have an advert to watch someone else's video at that same moment. So you've got to make sure you are gripping them in straight away. Otherwise, they're clicking on that advert and going on someone else's video. So 5 seconds became the norm when creating your YouTube hooks until TikTok came about. And when TikTok came about, it flipped everything on its head. Short form content became the norm, and 5-second hooks were no longer good enough. At that point, it became a 3-second hook. And you'll notice 2 years ago when I just started creating TikTok content, you could see within that first 3 seconds, there was always something going on. Unfortunately, as TikTok then became more and more saturated, the exact same thing happened. More people joined the platform, meaning the quality of content had to get better and better, and you had to hook people in even quicker. So now people say the sort of going rate with a TikTok video is the first second, and you've got to hook people in that first second. But I challenge it and question it, and I say it's even further than that. It's gone past that point. And I think we need to engage viewers on that very first frame of the video. The reason I say that is because I challenge anyone at home who's listening to look at any nieces and nephews who watch short form content, whether it's YouTube Shorts, Reels, or TikTok. The younger generation, young Gen Z, don't even wait a full second to decide whether they want to flick onto the next video.
Or the thumb comes up.
They are literally thumb, scroll, scroll. They do not wait for that first second. They are looking at the first frame of your video. If it entices them, they will watch it. If it doesn't, they won't. It's simple as that. It doesn't matter if you've got Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in second 8 of your video. If your first frame isn't enticing, no one's watching it, so it's irrelevant. So I advise everyone to be hyper-focused on that first frame.
So it's almost like a thumbnail, right? The first frame is almost like as important as a thumbnail, and actually it is. Right?
Exactly. So something we do with our content, this is how obsessed we are with it over here. We will reverse engineer a lot of our video ideas based on the first frame. We will come up with the first frame of the video before we start shooting the piece of content. We'll go, wouldn't it be cool if the first frame of a video was this? And then we'll work out what the middle and the ending of the video is based off of that incredible first frame.
Wow. Okay, that's a completely different approach to filmmaking.
But if you speak to YouTube creators and ask them how they come up with their YouTube ideas, you'll hear the greatest names, the biggest names, the Mr. Beasts say they come up with their thumbnail and title before they work out what the video is, because they know that is the most important part at bringing viewers to their piece of content.
Okay, so that's about search optimization, it's about visual enticement, presumably it's about hashtags as well.
Yeah, in 2023, less about hashtags. It's still a thing, but nowhere near as much as it used to be. Algorithms getting a lot smarter, so you don't really need hashtags. You can sort of break down the source code of videos that you upload, and you can see that platforms know exactly what's in your video, and based off of what their AI detection systems see is in it, they will push your content out to different niches based on that. So hashtags don't really work the same way they used to. Where hashtags do come in handy are when you want to collate your video with a certain niche and force it in that direction. So if you want, when people type in hashtag Harry Styles, you want your video to come up, that's when it's important. But I would no longer worry about using hashtags for, oh, how do I make sure my content gets pushed out to that audience? It will automatically.
Tell us about your most successful clips, and this might be the same thing. What about your favorite clips that you've created?
Awesome. Most successful video we've created is actually the 3rd highest viewed video on YouTube Shorts of all time. I believe it's sitting on, I'm sorry if I get this wrong, I believe it's sitting on somewhere around the world of 650 million views, which is crazy on one platform. I think it's something like 330 million people in America. So we've doubled the population in America on one YouTube video. The premise of the video is in Trafalgar Square on the 4th plinth used to be this awesome ice cream statue. Unfortunately, it literally just got taken down the other day. It was this big ice cream statue, and we shot a video where I was in front of it. I was holding a normal ice cream, drops on the floor, and I'm like, damn, how do I get my ice cream back? So using like a forced perspective trick, I bring my ice cream up to the huge statue in the background and transform it back onto my cone. I then look at Nelson's column, I snap the top of it into a flake, put it on my ice cream, and happily walk off.
Yeah, it's incredible, that clip. And how long is it in total?
Only like 15 seconds, nice and short. It sort of fits very nicely within the short form world.
And we've just seen the news that YouTube Shorts has turned on their monetization for Shorts from the 1st of February. So does that mean that you will start to essentially earn from that clip from the 1st of February? Or will you be making money from all of those 650 million views up to this point? You wish, right?
I wish. I wish it worked that way. Unfortunately, everything's very blurred right now. We don't have the answers. We thought we were going to have the answers from the 1st of Feb, and it turns out we didn't. Right now, as far as I'm aware, for people sitting inside of the UK, so people like myself, this new YouTube program that they've just released is actually worse than the channel bonus system. So we're actually making less money from it than we were before they introduced this program. However, I still have faith. I'm like leaning on the optimistic side that because the platform's still new, there aren't as many advertisers on it yet. Traditionally, all advertisers on YouTube would format their adverts landscape, whereas YouTube Shorts advertising is vertical. So all the advertisers now need to go in and re-optimize their content vertically, which is going to take a bit of time. And I think until that is done, we're going to see these slightly lower CPMs, but I do expect it to pick up. I do expect it to be great. I think right now, Google are in a very interesting position because they've seen that the amount of people using Google in sort of the Gen Z age gap is going down, it's declining, because Gen Zs aren't using Google to search for things. Gen Z are using TikTok to search for things. And I think Google see that obviously as a huge problem. Their way of sort of snapping back at that is with YouTube Shorts and making sure that all of Gen Z are using YouTube Shorts for their search engine.
So more better content, right? It's the content wars between TikTok and YouTube Shorts, presumably.
Yeah, I have so much faith in YouTube. They've proved themselves over such a long period of time. I really do think they will work this out. I'm just intrigued to see how they navigate this space.
So some of your other videos, your VFX videos, that they're incredibly complex and involved and extremely creative. You've also had a lot of success doing behind the scenes clips, essentially telling the audience how you created, that effect. And that in its own right is, for a budding filmmaker, must be incredibly valuable. What's the secret to their success, do you think? There's one where you, in particular, which is Pennywise the Clown from Stephen King's It movie. This amazing makeup that you're wearing. And so you've essentially break it down in another video, and they're also really successful, right?
So we started those behind the scenes videos purely from a passion point of view of I love seeing behind the scenes content. That is what got me excited about this world. The fact that I had so many great educators out there who were willing to give away their secrets, willing to show us a peek behind the curtain. And because of people like that, I've been able to do everything I've been able to do. So this was almost my giving back to the community because of everything that I've been given for free. So I started creating those videos just to sort of give something back and wasn't really expecting much traction from them. But as it turned out, people started enjoying that content more than the original VFX videos, and they started getting way more views than the original content. So we actually ended up building like a whole nother arm to our content creation and a whole nother sort of sector of the company, creating these big tutorial videos just from what it started out as a passion piece, which has now turned into this huge arm which has built so much for the brand.
We'll paste a couple of links to those clips in the episode description so you can go and have a look at the clips that we're talking about. So coming back to shorts then, what about Reels? I mean, so we're talking about TikTok, we're talking about YouTube Shorts, and, those are the big contenders for a lot of creators. They're desperately courting creators to make great content for them. But what about Meta? What about Reels and Instagram? I mean, they seem to have, Facebook seems to be a little bit on the wane now. Is it really a relevant place to put your content? Instagram, where's that? These platforms seem to me to getting older and older. And, Gen Z is really just focusing on shorts. What about Reels? How do you see Reels?
Being brutally honest, Reels has a little bit of work that needs to be done. It's nowhere near a perfect app. I love the guys at Meta. They've always been really, really good to me. One thing that I've got to give Meta so much credit for is out of all of the social media apps that I work with, I have by far had the best communication and transparency with the people at Meta, which as a creator means so much to us. And I'm very, very grateful for Meta for that. And unfortunately, so far, I haven't had those same relationships at TikTok or at YouTube. And when you're building a business based off of those platforms, that transparency is invaluable. Like, it is so important to have. So that's where I've got to give Meta credit to start. What I would say about Reels is, unfortunately, right now, it feels like it's constantly in catch-up mode. It doesn't feel like it's doing anything first, and it's just a feature is brought out on a different app, and they copy it. What I want to see Reels do is innovate in the space. I want to see them do something brand new that isn't being done on any other short form platform site. You've had YouTube who announced this new monetization platform. Awesome. TikTok are the guys bringing out these awesome new features every other week and giving incredible exposure to creators. Right now, I don't know exactly why a creator would choose Reels over the other two platforms. What I would say is Facebook or Meta isn't going anywhere. It's been a sort of a staple for such a long time. I do believe in the people that make it behind the scenes. I think they've got work to do, but I do imagine they will catch up.
So tell us about your team, your wider team, Brandon, because there's a team of 5, is it 5 or 6 that you have?
What, here?
Yeah.
Oh, no, we're a team of 13, about to be 14.
13 and 4, okay. Well, it was just the 6 that I saw when I
the rest of them have gone home for the day.
That's right. We're recording this
at 6:30.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, where is everybody?
Yeah, how dare they not still be at work past work hours?
So team of 13, and how does that split down between camera and post-production and special effects and set building? How does that all break down?
Yeah, so I'd say it's about a 50-50 with post and production. So we've got an incredible, some of the best VFX artists I've ever seen in my life. I'm really grateful that we brought them into the team, and they are incredible assets to us here. The stuff that they make is insane, and I wouldn't be able to make the videos that I make without them. So our post-production team are on a whole nother level. Then we've got our incredible production team. We've got 2 producers that work here who are absolutely insane as well. One of the girls I brought over from Sassy with me. So she was in the TV space as well. She was there for 5 years. And then as soon as I started setting this up, I had in the back of my mind from the start, I was like, I would do anything to bring her with me because she's incredible. And luckily, when I invited her, it took 3 months of persuading. After 3 months, she did come on board, and I'm incredibly happy about it. And then from there, we've just formed this awesome team of everything from our producers to production assistants to writers, directors, social media managers, all the way through the line, which has just been really, really important to building everything that we are. When you look at the Brand and B brand, even though it's got the name Brandon on there, it's actually just a conglomerate of all the incredible people that actually work here and create the content that we do.
And that's your business's, your production company, Studio B, right?
Yes.
So, and you're also working with, so I've got a list here of the brands that you've been working with. Netflix, Adidas, Pixar, FIFA, Meta, Samsung, Disney, Universal. Extraordinary list of clients there. And they're basically coming to you to essentially take their messages to Gen Z. Is that right?
Yeah. So something I found really interesting, I did this talk a year ago. I've always been under the impression, as working in social for so long, that the easiest market to speak to is Gen Z because they're on socials. Until I went to this a conference last year, and the title of the conference is how to speak to the hardest generation of all time, which was Gen Z, as in millennials and above feel so out of touch with how to communicate messages to Gen Z because it is completely different to any other generation that's come before it. Whereas in my world, that is the prime of a generation to speak to. They're the easiest people to break through to. It's been really cool navigating that space and just sort of offloading our knowledge of how to break through within that world. And I think that's why it's been so amazing to work with these brands and why they come to us is because we are the youngsters. We're not the dinosaurs of the industries. We have come into the game young, hungry, and fresh who understand this social space and understand how advertisers can break through in this space and be successful. So I think the honest and truthful answer is the numbers speak for themselves, the results speak for themselves. And what I have found is anytime we've worked with a brand partner who's a really big name, a big brand, for example, we started with Sony. Once you work with Sony, then suddenly a week later, Warner emails, and then Disney emails, and then Netflix emails, and then it's sort of a snowball effect from there because everyone within the industry is seeing these incredible results. They're seeing hundreds of millions of views on these campaigns, and they're saying, we want to get in on that action.
And then they're also trusting you with their A-list talent, right? So some of the incredible talent. Tell us about some of the talent you've worked with.
Yeah, so we've developed this new format called This Interview or Self-Destruct. It's a new show that we've created where we bring on different celebrity talents onto this interview.
And this is your original format?
Yeah, so it's an IP we've created in-house that we're working on. We've shot, I think, 5 episodes so far. 3 of them are released. And it's this incredible new show that we're creating. The names we've had on so far are Tom Holland, Jake Gyllenhaal, a rapper called H, and Tyson Fury, which we shot the other week, which is awesome. He's absolutely incredible. And we've been interviewing these guests on this new show. And the idea behind the show is it's a mix between awesome and interesting interview-style questions, but chaos is unfolding all around behind the scenes whilst we're trying to hold this interview together.
Everything that goes wrong can go wrong.
Exactly.
Well, good luck with that. What's the future ambition then, other than obviously working with bigger and bigger brands? Or I'm not sure you can work with too many bigger ones than I mentioned, but doing bigger and bigger productions with those sort of clients. Is it more and more original format creation that is the direction of travel for you? What's lighting your fire? What's passionate? What's making you passionate now?
Yeah, so we've got like a very detailed and laid out roadmap, which I absolutely love referring to and building and creating. And it's been awesome that the pathway I'm currently on today was a roadmap that I built originally 2 years ago. And you can see if you go along this roadmap, we are ticking things off like extremely quickly, way quicker than the benchmarks I'd originally set.
Have you shown your mum that?
Oh, of course. Yeah, no, I've shown the whole team it. I've shown my manager it. I sort of bring everyone who's on the team aware of this sort of singular goal, so we're aware of the direction we're going. And there is like a much longer 20-year plan, but sort of shorter term, 3 to 5 year. Essentially, we're trying to build out a media company. The goal is to create this large media company where we are running multiple social accounts. So right now we're in the phase of building other brands that isn't just Brand B. At the very top of it, it is building the Brand B brand as large as possible, making even better and bigger VFX videos and reaching a wider audience. Then on the Studio B side, it is approaching even bigger, even better clients, making these awesome big campaign videos. Also a part of another company called EMG, which I've co-founded with some really awesome names. Gabs, who used to work with me at Woody & Kleine, Benji Leslie, who's the CEO of Connect Management, Julius Dean, who's one of the biggest, arguably the biggest creator in the world right now. He got something like 1 billion views a week in 2022. Absolutely insane numbers. So there are some incredible names behind that as well. That's a social agency who represent brands creating social assets for their social media companies. So, let's say you're a John Lewis and you want to activate on your social media, on your TikTok account, but you don't know how. So EMG goes in and creates the full 360 of content for you, activating on those platforms for you, uploading it and sort of being and helping become the voice of the brand. The goal with EMG is to be that social 360 and help brands manage their platforms, because we understand for brands that don't get it, for people that don't understand the social space, it's really confusing.
Well, that's all for this week's show. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please share it with friends and colleagues. This week's show was recorded at Studio B in North London and edited by Ian Chambers. Until next week, stay safe.